In the vast, quiet landscape of rural America, some roads carry more than just asphalt and memories. Route 87's most haunting 12 miles represent a geographical enigma where human stories intersect with profound systemic silences. This stretch of highway isn't just a transportation corridor, but a complex narrative landscape where disappearances reveal deeper societal fractures. The road winds through agricultural territories that have witnessed decades of economic transformation, each mile marker holding fragments of interrupted lives and unresolved narratives. Rural highways like these are not merely physical conduits, but psychological terrains where personal histories become entangled with broader cultural dynamics of isolation and disconnection. Economic decline has transformed these landscapes into intricate emotional geographies. Small farming communities surrounding Route 87 have experienced generational shifts that have fundamentally altered social connections. Manufacturing closures, agricultural mechanization, and population migrations have created psychological terrains as barren as the physical landscapes. Young people increasingly leave, creating generational gaps that erode traditional community knowledge transmission. Local elders become repositories of unspoken histories, their memories becoming increasingly fragmented and selective. Disappearances along this highway cannot be understood through sensationalist lenses of supernatural explanation. Instead, they represent complex human narratives emerging from systemic social fragmentation. Each vanished traveler embodies broader societal uncertainties, economic instability, communication breakdowns, and the gradual erosion of community interconnectedness. Local law enforcement and investigators find themselves confronting not just physical evidence, but intricate webs of communal silence and generational protection mechanisms that obscure complete understanding. The geographical isolation of this region creates unique narrative conditions. Communication infrastructure remains sparse, cellular coverage intermittent, and traditional information networks limited. This technological disconnection compounds existing social dynamics, making comprehensive investigation challenging. Witnesses become unreliable narrators, their perspectives shaped by generations of discretion and carefully curated community memories. The landscape itself seems to absorb stories, transforming human experiences into silent, immutable terrains. Forensic analysis reveals patterns beyond individual disappearances. Weather records, traffic data, and geological surveys suggest complex environmental interactions. Seasonal variations, electromagnetic anomalies, and topographical characteristics create unique conditions that challenge traditional investigative frameworks. These 12 miles represent more than a geographic location, they become a symbolic space where human uncertainty confronts systemic complexity, where individual stories become subsumed within broader societal narratives. Local residents develop sophisticated communication strategies around these unresolved histories. Conversations become carefully choreographed dances of revelation and concealment. Older community members speak in measured tones, their language revealing more through strategic omissions than direct statements. Younger generations inherit these narrative fragments, constructing their understanding through intergenerational whispers and partial revelations. The highway becomes a metaphorical repository of collective memory, storing unspoken experiences within its asphalt and surrounding landscapes. Technological advancements have incrementally transformed investigative capabilities. Digital mapping, advanced forensic techniques, and comprehensive data analysis offer new perspectives on historical disappearances. Yet these tools encounter significant human limitations: community resistance, generational protective mechanisms, and the inherent complexity of rural social structures. Each technological breakthrough confronts deeply entrenched cultural narratives of discretion and selective remembrance. The psychological impact of prolonged uncertainty affects entire communities. Families of missing individuals experience complex emotional landscapes, hope intertwined with resignation, anticipation merged with gradual acceptance. Community support mechanisms emerge through unspoken solidarity, creating intricate emotional networks that transcend traditional understanding of grief and loss. These 12 miles become a collective psychological space where individual tragedies are simultaneously acknowledged and obscured. Broader societal transformations provide critical contextual frameworks. Rural depopulation, agricultural industrialization, and technological disruption have fundamentally reshaped community dynamics. Route 87's mysterious stretch becomes a microcosm of larger national transitions, a geographical metaphor for systemic social changes that challenge traditional narrative constructions. Each disappearance represents not just a personal tragedy, but a broader reflection of societal disconnection and fragmentation. Understanding requires moving beyond simplistic explanations toward nuanced, empathetic investigation. The highway's mysteries emerge not from supernatural phenomena, but from intricate human experiences shaped by economic, technological, and cultural transitions. Route 87 stands as a testament to the complexity of human memory, the resilience of community narratives, and the profound ways geographical spaces absorb and transform human stories. Its 12 miles represent a powerful reminder that some mysteries are less about what happened and more about why certain stories remain deliberately obscured. In the quiet heart of rural America, where wheat fields stretch endlessly and small towns seem frozen in time, there exists a 12-mile stretch of Route 87 that has become a geographical enigma. Statistically speaking, no other highway segment of similar length in the continental United States has recorded more unexplained disappearances. Precisely 23 individuals vanished between 1964 and 2018, with no conclusive evidence of their fate. This is not a tale of supernatural phenomena, but a profound exploration of human vulnerability, systemic silence, and the invisible threads that connect seemingly disconnected events. When we think about vanishing points, we often imagine dramatic scenarios of criminal intrigue or paranormal intervention. But the truth of Route 87's mysterious mile is far more nuanced. A complex tapestry woven from economic decline, geographic isolation, and generational secrets. Each disappearance represents not just a missing person, but a fracture in the community's collective memory. The landscape itself seems to conspire in this narrative of erasure. Rolling farmlands give way to gentle hills, punctuated by weathered barns and abandoned homesteads. Telephone poles stand like silent sentinels, their wooden frames bearing witness to decades of unspoken stories. Local residents, when approached, offer fragmented recollections. A nervous glance, a hesitant pause, a story half told and quickly retracted. Let's begin with Sarah Henderson, a 27-year-old schoolteacher who vanished in September 1972. Her red Chevrolet Impala was discovered 3 miles from town. Engine still running, driver's side door open. No signs of struggle, no personal belongings missing. Just an empty car and a silence that seemed to swallow every potential explanation. The local sheriff's investigation yielded nothing. No forensic evidence. No witness statements that could reconstruct her final moments. What makes Route 87's disappearances uniquely perplexing is not just their frequency, but their seemingly random nature. The victims represent diverse demographics, young and old, male and female, transient and local. They range from truckers passing through to farmers' children, from migrant workers to local business people. This randomness defies conventional narrative frameworks of criminal profiling or geographical risk assessment. Economic context becomes crucial in understanding these vanishings. The region surrounding Route 87 experienced profound agricultural and industrial transformations during the late 20th century. Small family farms were gradually absorbed by corporate agricultural enterprises, creating a landscape of economic uncertainty and social displacement. Communities that once thrived on close-knit relationships became increasingly fragmented, with younger generations migrating to urban centers, leaving behind ghost towns and weakened social networks. Forensic sociologist Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who spent 3 years studying the Route 87 phenomenon, suggests that these disappearances might represent a complex interaction between structural societal changes and individual vulnerability. We're not looking at isolated incidents, she explains, but a systemic breakdown of traditional community surveillance and support mechanisms. Technological limitations also played a significant role. Before the advent of GPS tracking, cell phone triangulation, and comprehensive digital record keeping, people could genuinely disappear. A missed phone call, an undelivered letter, these were the only traces left behind. The highway itself became a metaphorical and literal conduit of anonymity, a space where identities could be temporarily suspended. Consider the case of Michael Rodriguez, a long-haul truck driver who seemingly evaporated in 1989. His last communication was a routine radio check-in approximately 17 miles from the most active disappearance zone. Subsequent investigations revealed fragmentary evidence: a partially consumed thermos of coffee, a logbook with cryptic notes, tire tracks that mysteriously diverged from the main highway. Local historians and genealogists have attempted to map these disappearances, seeking patterns that might reveal underlying explanations. Some point to the region's complex demographic shifts, Native American displacement, migrant worker trajectories, agricultural labor migrations. Each disappearance becomes a microcosm reflecting larger societal transformations. Interestingly, geographical profiling suggests that these vanishings cluster around specific topographical features. Slight elevation changes, areas with minimal cellular reception, sections where dense tree lines obscure clear sight lines. These are not supernatural hot spots, but rather practical blind zones where human observation becomes temporarily compromised. Psychological research indicates that communities experiencing prolonged economic stress develop unique coping mechanisms. Collective silence becomes a form of emotional self-preservation. By not discussing traumatic events, residents create a psychological buffer against ongoing uncertainty. The unspoken becomes a shared language, more powerful than explicit narratives. Modern forensic technologies have begun re-examining these cold cases. Advanced DNA analysis, satellite imagery reconstruction, and computational modeling offer new investigative perspectives. Yet the fundamental mystery remains: what combination of circumstances could consistently facilitate human disappearance in an ostensibly open landscape? The story of Route 87 is not about solving a singular mystery, but understanding the complex human ecosystem that allows such mysteries to persist. It represents a profound meditation on memory, loss, and the invisible social infrastructures that both protect and potentially endanger community members. As twilight descends on this forgotten mile, the highway continues its silent vigil. Wheat stalks sway gently, telephone wires hum with unspoken histories, and the landscape itself seems to guard its secrets. Route 87 remains a testament to the delicate, often incomprehensible threads that connect human experiences, a reminder that some stories are meant to be felt, rather than fully understood. In the vast, quiet landscape of rural America, some roads carry more than just asphalt and memories. Route 87's most haunting 12 miles whisper stories that most would prefer to forget. Imagine a highway where the distance between known and unknown blurs like heat rising from summer pavement, where travelers vanish not into supernatural darkness, but into the complex shadows of human silence. This isn't a tale of monsters or paranormal phenomena, but a deeply human investigation into how geography, economic decline, and unspoken community narratives can create profound mysteries. Every mile marker holds a fragment of a story: a missing trucker's abandoned logbook, a car found with its engine running but no driver, fragments of lives interrupted without explanation. Local residents speak in careful, measured tones, their words revealing more through what remains unsaid than what is spoken. The landscape itself becomes a character: rolling farmlands and isolated stretches where communication towers stand like lonely sentinels, witnessing decades of unexplained disappearances. Economic shifts have hollowed out surrounding towns, creating a psychological terrain as desolate as the physical highway. Each vanished traveler represents not just a personal tragedy, but a broader narrative of societal disconnection. Small communities along Route 87 have developed an unspoken protocol of discretion, where questions are deflected and memories are carefully curated. Investigators who've attempted to piece together these disappearances find themselves confronting not just physical evidence, but layers of generational protection and communal silence. The highway becomes a metaphor for unresolved human experiences, a liminal space where personal histories intersect with broader societal uncertainties. What emerges is not a sensationalist mystery, but a nuanced exploration of how communities process loss, how memories are constructed and preserved, and how geographical isolation can create narrative voids that challenge our understanding of truth. Route 87's Forgotten Mile is less about what happened and more about why some stories remain deliberately obscured, revealing the complex mechanisms of collective memory and selective remembrance.